Hello and welcome to another edition of Fansview Fridays. On Fansview Fridays, we'll be looking at Project A-Kon in Dallas, Texas. Let's just adjust our screen here if we can. But yeah, you can definitely see the age in a lot of these old websites. If this is your first time tuning into us, and Fansview Fridays is a series that we do every Friday where we highlight a convention that is covered by the legendary Kevin Lillard. If you do not know who Kevin Lillard was, he was a pioneer of anime convention and cosplay photography. He was a gentleman that ran around conventions across the United States, sometimes two in the same weekend, where he would cover and take photos of cosplayers, cover panels, take a look at guests of honor interviews, and he gave you a literal fan's view of the convention as he uploaded the photos, uploaded all the stories. So if you weren't at the convention, this is a great little guide on what you missed. So if you were having fear of missing out, fansview.com was the website to go to see what was happening in the anime world. Of course, this is a time when we didn't really have a lot of anime conventions, and let's just take a peek into the past. And we're going to go back to December of 2001. It is June 1st through the 3rd, and we're in Dallas, Texas at Project A-Kon. Here, let's take a look at the pictures first. I've noticed that Kevin had a trend here where we were looking, he posted like pictures and panels on separate pages. Normally he does like a day-to-day breakdown, but let's just take a look at cosplayers who were at A-Kon 2001. Okay, again, if you know the fandom, shout it out in the chat. Looks like no surprise at all that we got some Dragon Ball cosplayers. That fandom is evergreen. Got Dorothy and we got a Vivi. Yeah, around this time, we're starting to see a lot more Final Fantasy IX cosplayers. I love seeing like classic Rama cosplayers. Oh no, that's the previous page. My bad. Next page. Okay, we have Chun-Li. We have Ryu. Just scrolling down some. Okay, we have Ruri from Nadeshiko. I do love me some Martian successor Nadeshiko. So the general rule is if the photos aren't showing up for the next couple of pages, that's when we just move on to the next one. Web Archive isn't a perfect website, but we are very thankful that this website has archived a lot of Kevin Lillard's work so they won't get lost to the ages. If you just want to see like all the photos, they were archived on American Cosplay Paradise. But I also just want to show you and just give you the experience of what it was like just having to scroll through Kevin's website and just look through all the photos, look at all the through all the cosplayers. Yep, scrolling through. Looks like we have someone from the Amazon Cortez. I don't know. Sometimes I want to name the Amazon's Cortez of folks like the quintessential quadruplets. Okay, so no photos on this page. We're gonna move on to the next one. All right, so we're still at day one here. Whoa, is that like an old school JoJo cosplay? That's amazing. Well, I assume it's JoJo. It's giving JoJo vibes. Again, this would have been 2001. The gal in the purple uniform right here, it's definitely giving Uma Musume, even though this is 2001. Unless some of y'all time traveled to Dallas in 2001 in Uma Musume cosplay. And if you just notice, like, just how look at the fabric, see how shiny it is. That's what we had to work with. We didn't really have like a lot of fabric to work with at Joann's. Sometimes we just had to take what we could get. And if it was like that costume satin shine, that was part of the deal. And it also dependent on what region of the world that you lived in. Because I know in LA we have the LA Fashion District, which gives you a lot of access to lots of different types of fabrics. Oh, we have Relina and Lady Un. Well, it is a holiday, so I hope all of you remember to watch Endless Waltz. Endless Waltz is a holiday special. Hey, if people are gonna like canonize Die Hard as a Christmas movie, like I get to canonize Endless Waltz as a holiday special. Okay, we have Dota from Sorcerer Hunters. This is also like an easy mode costume. Just grab like a Chinese dress from the dealer's hall, just add wings and just attempt your hair and hair buns. We got Moonlight Knight. We have Amelia. Looks like we got Blackjack, Ranma, Dilendal, Yahiko. Just scrolling through. I love how like a lot of the Gen Z kids like call anytime they see a Vash cosplayer from the early 2000s, like, oh my god, it's vintage Vash. I don't know if any of you remember this, but once upon a time Hot Topic put out like this red trench coat, and it was easily like it was very Vash coated. Oh, that's an amazing Maya. I love that. So Hot Topic puts out this red jacket out there, and everyone is just like analyzing and like, yeah, is this supposed to be like a Vash cosplay jacket? And people were just kind of like just getting all nitpicky, like, oh, you can't use that for cosplay because it's store bought, or you can't use that for cosplay because it's not exactly accurate to the anime. I'm like, guys, who cares? If the Vash coat makes someone happy, so be it. Here's a brief glance at the opening ceremonies. And by the way, I've always felt like that. Like, if the outfit makes you happy, like, there shouldn't be an issue. All right, let's look at opening ceremonies. There was a video that showed Project A-Kon's monkey theme and a Vampire Princess Miu ballet. Mary Hazelwood of the convention noted that the main events hall had its 250 seats smaller than we're used to. He also said A-Kon could draw as many as 5,000 people. Imagine that, 5,000 people at A-Kon. All right. Then came the birthday celebration for the 35-year-old Steve Bennett of Studio Iron Cat. They started with the cake and proceeded to the spanking. Finally came the celebration of the I Slept with Steve Bennett t-shirt, an inside joke that turned into American Cancer Society fundraiser. Can't say I ever bought it. I was still like in high school at the time. Like, that would have been wrong. But hey, all for a good cause, right? I know when I was going to conventions during these days, like my money went to the cheapest thing at the hotel restaurant. So likely that was like a salad, or I would share an appetizer with a friend. Or what I would do is, like just go to the dealer's hall, grab some posters, grab some plushies, grab some dolls. Yeah, I was like an anime Barbie doll collector. Because I would just go into the dealer's hall, just like, oh, hey, this doll looks nice. I'd like to own it. Yeah, just scrolling through here. I don't quite recognize the fandom. It's giving Twi'lek. We have that My Cosplayer again. Yeah, I remember there was like a time period in the early 2000s where there was King of Fighters cosplay meetups, and there was a lot of gals dressed up like Mai in like different variant colors. I actually thought about it, but I just didn't really feel comfortable showing that much thigh. I mean, nowadays I cosplay as Lisa, and I'm much older. I cosplay as Lisa from Genshin Impact, and yeah, Homegirl is all about thigh. Only reason why I haven't worn her recently is like that giant hat. Okay, looks like we're out of photos to go through. Now to the Saturday morning costume pictures. All right, who showed up on Saturday and what can we find? All right, we have Lee Shalron from Cardcaptor Sakura. I want to say that's Megumi from Kenshin. Okay, just scrolling through here. I want to say that's someone trying to be Inuyasha. The red is actually giving a lot of Inuyasha. We have Vash, we have Vivi, Hikaru from Magic Knight Rayearth, Rei Ayanami. Looks like we have some costume from Alice Meeser. And we have Japanese Schoolboy. Remember, this is also a time when getting wigs was really scarce. And the only thing we really had to go off from was just whatever they had at Party City. Or there was a place called Witch Wigs. It was like this online store, and there was also Amphigory, whatever it is. Someone please put the correct pronunciation in the chat because I don't know. I didn't shop at Amphigory. I just shopped at like my local costume place, and that's like this is way before Costworks. So I would just go to like my local costume place and they would have like the natural hair colored wigs, and because I was costing as a lot of anime characters with natural hair color, it was the ones where like yeah you wanted to get the Betty or you wanted to get the Anne Marie wig. So all these wigs had like very femme sounding names. That was also the case at Costworks too. I forgot like some of the more popular wigs out there, because I know like for a while they had like all these multicolor like long hair wigs, and that was a huge thing because you can get like one of those multicolor wigs, and you can just like style it to your preference. And then you had epic cosplay wigs, which would eventually like have the heat resistant styling to it, because the wigs that cosplay.com had, well, yes, you could style, you could cut, but there was so much more you could do with a lot of the heat resistant wigs. And again, if you notice or recognize any folks in these photos, just let me know. More than happy to let you have a shout out on the chat or in the comment section of our YouTube channel. Confession, I've never actually been to A-Kon, but I hear the Texas convention community is thriving. Unfortunately, you could also correct me in the comments. You could also correct me, yeah, hold me accountable. That A-Kon hasn't really been around for the past couple of years. Is they just been struggling to just get back up. And this is like one of the longest running conventions since anime conventions started becoming a thing. I really should start like having a roundtable panel of history of anime conventions. There's a lot of folks I would love to have as the part of it. Unfortunately, again, I know it's crazy when I say I don't that I live in Southern California. There's very few conventions in Southern California that are open to panel submission, and even the ones that do, they're very limited on what they can let in. I was very lucky to get a panel this year at ALA talking about magical girls, but Y2K is on waitlist, and I love running my Y2K panel. Walk through the halls where costumers gathered on Saturday afternoon. All right, let's just take a look-see here. Oh, we have Marmalade Boy. I love Miki from Marmalade Boy. That was a crazy anime. It went into a direction that I wasn't expecting it to go through. I don't know if I should like just mention spoilers for like a ongoing anime. Like it started out fine as your run of the mill like WB soap opera shoujo type thing with all the love triangles, love pentagons, love polygons. I mean, no one was really poly. I mean, you do have like a couple swap, which begins the whole premise of Marmalade Boy. I just assume nowadays, like, we would just call Miki and Yu's parents like a funky polycule. And then you have a stepbrother, stepsister situation, and they fall in love. And then later on in the series, it just kind of gets a little bit funky. There was this one video SAS on anime that just talked about like, hey, guys, aside from the teacher student storyline where she's clearly a minor, um yeah, there's also like this potential like incest is okay kind of thing, because there is a plot line towards the end where Miki suspects that you might have biological relations with her, and then you kind of go into this storyline where she accepts, like, yeah, you, even if you're my biological brother, I'm still romantically interested in you. I'm like, guys, can we also talk about this too, in addition to the somewhat creepy storyline that's going on here? Yeah, Marmalade Boy is a hot mess. Oh, that's an awesome Eternal Saturn. It's just so surreal just seeing like a lot of folks pull off the eternal variants of the Sailor Senshi during this time period, because I also cosplay as Eternal Sailor Mars. We have Arashi from X 1999. Now that's an anime series that I was super into when I was in high school, because that had a little bit of everything. And when we talk about a little bit of everything from Clamp, yeah, like even some of the more problematic canonical pairings and shippings. But it was just a crazy anime to me because like, I just love all the characters. I love how each of them had like this rich backstory to them. But just kind of looking back, there's some tropes that do not age well. Like, I'm just tired of the trope, like, oh, she's a virgin. She must remain pure to use her powers. But if she loses her purity, that means she can no longer use her powers. Like, I've always hated that. I mean, in Sailor Moon, like, if you want to just talk about forward thinking in Sailor Moon, at least it is canonical in the manga that Usagi and Mamoru do have, they do get intimate. You can see in the manga, you can see in the artwork, regardless. However, at no point Sailor Moon loses her powers. The camera caught the costume contest. All right, so let's just take a look at the costume contest here. Looks like we have Sharon Apple, Inuyasha. Oh wow, we're seeing like Inuyasha cosplays during this time period too. Because I remember getting into Inuyasha about a year later. I remember getting the VHS tapes, the fan subs, and the subtitles were tiny. So I had to wait until Cartoon Network, until Adult Swim started airing Inuyasha. And that's how I got into Inuyasha. Ah, Monkey Boy. Miyaka and Noriko. I need to like redo my Miyaka cosplay again because the dress part no longer fits me. So I have to make some adjustments. We got Cammy. Okay, looks like we got a fighting game kind of act going on here. Okay, we have Vincent from Final Fantasy VII, and we have a Team Rocket character over there. Looks like we have Eternal Saturn. We have a King of Fighters cosplay group there. I recognize that faction. We have Kyo Kusanagi. Like one of my best friends actually cosplays as Kyoku's. Actually, I know two people who cosplay as Kyo Kusanagi who I consider best friends. Yay! That's one franchise I've never cosplayed from, even though I have had like a lot of folks tell me like, "Oh, you make an awesome Shermie. I can see you cosplaying as Shermie." I'll think about it. I just need to learn how to play King of Fighters first because I always go on the rule of thumb like I need to play something or watch something before I cosplay from it. We have Sephiroth going into a solo there. Okay, we have Vivi from Final Fantasy IX. I want to say this is from Shamanic Princess, but I'm not sure. But I just love the body paint on that. I'm like, do they use a bodysuit? Like, what's going on here? I admire that. Okay, we have a tiny Sakura. Not sure what this costume is. It's giving Darkstalkers, but I'm not too sure. Okay, looks like we got some Tenchi going on. We have a Ryoki, Hey guys, remember when Cabots were all the rage? There's a Deedlit, and there's Pen Pen. Okay, scrolling through. If you notice, like you can see in the background that how they have stuffed plushies of like monkeys to go with the monkey theme. I want to know what went through the A-Kon coordinators' minds to choose a monkey theme because that just seems like it comes out of left field. I just found out that Ursa Major's theme next year is like book themed. I'm like, hi, I'm a writer. I like books. Um, can I be a guest? Would be nice. Here stands the record of costume contest winners. All right, let's just take a look see here. Looks like Final Fantasy 9 was awarded something. Okay, scrolling through here. Okay, looks like we have Anthe. We have Vivi, just headless over there. Ellen Winkler's award. I know them. We follow each other on on Blue Sky. And of course, Steve Bennett's award. All right, and here's one last group of costume pictures. All right, let's just take a look see here. I'm assuming these are Sunday photos. Okay, we have Seiya, Eternal Sailor Moon. We have Sailor Neptune. We have Sailor Neptune and Uranus. Oh, they're so adorable. I actually remember them because I removed them at Animagica several, like, yeah, way back in the day. Wow. I want to say the gal in the gray skirt is from Sister Princess because that uniform does look familiar. Because I also remember cosplaying from that like way back in the day before. Okay, I know this guy. He teaches how to edit things. We have Final Fantasy VI. We have Baby Sakura. We have one of the pillars from Tenchi. Okay, we have Suboshi, because Amiboshi would typically have the flute. I actually did know someone who wanted to cosplay as Amiboshi, just as an excuse to play the flute at conventions, but they were more like, yeah, I'm more of a Chichiri kind of guy. I'm like, okay, fair. And this is also someone I knew that also wanted to cosplay as Hotohori because he kind of had the same like vanity and ego as Hotohori. All right, that's it for photos for A-Kon. Let's take a look at some of the panels that were at A-Kon. All right, here's a glance at the new surroundings for the spring convention in Texas. Okay, one Project A-Kon is so big that it needs two hotels. Here's the Westin on one side of the road on the north side of Dallas, home to the dealer's room, most panels, and registration. Turn 180 degrees, and here's the Sheraton, home to some gaming, the costume contest, and a few panels. It's about a 5-minute point-to-point walk between the two buildings. ATM in the middle. In the Westin dealer's room lurked the Bennett brothers from Studio Iron Cat, including Kevin on the left at his first convention in months. Pete's in the middle, and Steve is on the right, fresh from the previous weekend's Anime North in Toronto. In the Sheraton, artists face off in an Iron Chef style drawing contest that was Ben Dunn's of an Arctic Press on the right, talking on all comers. Some members of the audience wanted the artist to draw an exploding Pikachu. You guys are mean. The first autograph line of the convention featured Nove Takahashi of Studio Hard at his first North American event of the year, and character designer Tsukasa Kotobuki, who had spent the previous weekend at Anime Amazement in North Carolina. Amanda Tomash of Aka Anime shared a table with Hello Kitty, Ray, and Asuka. And while familiar artists gathered in the artist alley, but this image may remain a mystery for all time. Hi, Santa and Miyaka. Actors spoke about the way they do their jobs. Crispin Freeman is so popular as an anime club and as anime dub actor that some fans nearly cried when he announced he had skipped Anime Central in May to take on a role in the stage play. Fans at Project A-Kon had no reason to despair. Freeman was on hand at the Texas convention with a group of actors including Tiffany Grant, Lisa Ortiz, and Eric Johnson. Johnson, one of the voices of Trunks in Dragon Ball Z, told the fans about how he failed college and flunked a Spanish class, returned to Dallas, and decided to get an agent to back his acting career. That move paid off when he got one of Funimation's parts for the second Dragon Ball dub. Freeman said that his time before the mic in an anime dubbing studio was made easier by other acting experience, specifically from stage and radio play roles. You have to be able to adapt in theater. There's some styles that you have to adapt to. Freeman said, radio play experience also helps because that teaches the actor how to play a role with the voice alone, the same situation encountered in anime dubs. One wonders if Orson Welles and Joseph Cotten, Freeman's acting heroes from the Mercury Theater radio days in the 1930s, might have made good dub actors. And then you remember that Welles had a voice role in the Transformers movie. Ortiz has played stage roles as well as dubbed anime, and she said the hardest part about dubs is having to perform a role by yourself without being able to play off another actor's performance. Of course, actors dub their roles one part at a time without actors on hand. Often they don't meet actors who play the other roles, and Ortiz said it's odd when she has to make up a character voice with only a script and a sketch of the character to work from. Hey, random person, we are talking about A-Kon 2001. A few hours later, Freeman presented another panel discussion on the role of mythology in anime storytelling. In this case, mythology didn't mean old Greek myths, but universal language on the quest for a goal of birth, death, and pain. Freeman, who has examined this subject in preparing his anime roles, drew upon the analyses of Joseph Campbell in looking at the struggles that anime characters face. It's a personal subject for Freeman, who said, I became an actor because I wanted to know why. I had two choices, science and art. Art can't answer why, but it can answer what. Dragon Ball's Goku, second Goku, screamed out his story. Oh, hey, I know, Sean. When Funimation switched the dubbing of Dragon Ball Z from Canada to Texas, the company recast the show with sound-like actors for the Vancouver-based originals. Sean Schmel got the role of Goku, and he showed off his vocal style for Project A-Kon fans on Friday. You won't be surprised to learn that the fighting of Goku requires a lot of screaming and yelling from Schmel, and he didn't mind demonstrating one of those lines from the fans. Schmel said that Kamehameha scream can get difficult because it's hard on the voice and it's slightly different each time. Also, it's not easy making the English language script fit the original lip flaps. The need to make the dub fit the original mouth movements can also lead to some stilted performances, Schmel admitted. It can make you be a bad actor, he said. The flaps can screw you up. He said the problem comes from the Japanese original has characters saying a few widely spaced words, and the translation tries to follow that pattern. Combine that with the need to scream through most of the long recording session, and you get the impression that Schmel's Goku work is really hard work. Ironically, Schmel didn't have a deep acting background when he tried out a Funimation role, spending most of his time in puppetry. I had no TV show acting experience when I dubbed Dragon Ball Z, he said. Before Dragon Ball, his voice acting came solely for providing the voices of marionettes, puppets on stage, and not the female androids on Saber Marionette, of course. Now Schmel is looking for more roles, hoping to get more voice coaching, and trying to assemble a better version of the 3-minute demo tapes that voice producers prefer from their auditioning actors. A fan has a chance to become this character. I remember this. Wow. This actually happened. Okay, let's read through this and I'll spill the tea, okay? This Digico from Digikara was on a piece of plastic that stuck on a hotel window. Anime fans have a chance to become Digico this summer, at least in a recording studio. Broccoli, the Japanese company that operates the gamer stores, plans to open a similar store in Los Angeles and will use Digico as their mascot. The company is working through Sync Point, the anime production arm of digital manga, to create an English language commercial for the new store. And they'll hold auditions for the voice of Digico, with the winner chosen from among 5 finalists who appear before an audience at Anime Expo. Yes, Sync Point wants commercial Digico to sound as much like the original Digico as possible. At Project A-Kon, Stephanie Shea of Digital Manga was asked by fans about the Sync Point plans for Tenchi ni Naruman, whose English title is going to be I'm Gonna Be an Angel, and FLCL. She said that the first 3 episodes of Angel have been dubbed and that FLCL will follow shortly. And there's a chance that both series will be released in North America by the end of the year, maybe even by midsummer. Our schedule is pretty hectic and we're pushing really hard for that, Shay said about the hopes to get Angel released in time for Anime Expo. The dub cast for Angel is going to offer mixed, rarely seen in anime dubs, according to Shay. There's a Japanese director and a Japanese actor in the cast, and the English language actors have appeared in shows such as Cowboy Bebop. But the lead role of Noelle went to a person whose previous experience had only been in fan dubs. I think I know this person. Angel will be her first professional acting job. I think this is Diana. Diana Ko. She now also, last time I saw her, she was judging cosplay contest. But yeah, the Digico competition here, I clearly remember this because a couple of my friends were going for it. I ended up not going for it because I wanted to focus more on the karaoke contest at Anime Expo because I was working on singing Born to Love You from Mermaid Forest. And the role actually went to a friend of mine. I'm still friends with her to this day. I'm going to screenshot this really quick. I'm going to send this to her on like Instagram, like, hey, remember when you did a thing like back in '01? And it was so cool because they even flew her out to Japan to sing at a Digikarat event the English language of the welcome song. Yeah, I had like so many friends who went out for this. Even I knew someone from Oakland who flew out just for this event. She brought her grandma with her, and then they flew down to LA for just to go for this audition. This man shared the tricks of translation. Translating anime into English means making choices, and not two translators or production houses will make the same choices. Matt Greenfield, who writes scripts and produces shows for ADV Films, and Dan Kanemitsu, who was born in Japan and provides ADV with many of their translations, spoke to fans about their work. If it deceives the viewer, I will not make the change, Kanemitsu said in describing his duties. It's not easy to draw the line between a good equivalent term and what does and not make any sense. One of the hard things for Kanemitsu to handle is finding the best way to translate Japanese cultural buzzwords and fashionable saying into English. Often, he has to look up a phrase using a web search engine to understand that phrase. Something that's obvious in anime to Japanese speakers but hard to translate into English is regional dialect. Kanemitsu said that Japan has more regional dialects than does North America for English speakers. But those Japanese dialects are hard to get across in English. Something as simplistic as Southern dialect from someone in Southern Japan sounds wrong, not because there are several Southern accents in the US. Greenfield noted that regional speech patterns in Japan don't have the same character meanings as they do in the US. One of the few cases where ADV used a special dialect in a dub was in The Adventures of Kotetsu, where the lead character had a British accent. The original character looked like a teenager, but spoke from an old formal form of Japanese that made her sound like she was a 90-year-old, Greenfield said, and the British accent was felt to have been the best way to get the same character. If you can think you can outperform Kanemitsu, you'll have to work hard. There are dozens or so translators who handle most of the work for the entire industry in the US. What skills are needed? If you want to do this on a professional level and make a living from it, it's not easy, Kanemitsu said. A translator needs to be able to write well in English and have an intimate knowledge of Japanese pop culture and history, he said, noting that he'll handle the 21st century puns and 11th century history in the same day. A Japanese artist shared his views on animation and wrestling. All right, let's just see what you got to say about that. Character designer Tsukasa Kotobuki attended his second US anime convention in many weekends at Project A-Kon, and he brought some friends with him to Texas, members of the Japanese studio G1. Kotobuki is on the left next to Masami Obari, character designer of the Fatal Fury movie, and Voltage fighter Gal Kaiser. Makoto Uno, character designer and animation director of Love Hina, and Reimo Aoki, a Studio G1 artist. By far, Obari was the most talkative of the group, admitting he's a pro wrestling fan who likes Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Kenji Great Muto as ring performers. Obari said that the great moves in the ring often inspire his anime design work. Wrestling fans are divided into those who know the matches are scripted and like behind the scenes gossip, and those who don't care for anything beyond what happens in the ring, and Obari makes similar comparison with anime fans on both sides of the Pacific. I'm taken aback at what I've seen, Obari said at his first look at US anime fans. Part of it is that you, US fans, accept that you're shown at face value. You speak about what you like and what you don't like. Japanese animation fans have a tendency to skew animation, saying, this must be what the director wanted us to think. Obari also said that while the Japanese economy may be slowing down, the animation industry has a chance to expand because people will want more entertainment. American dubbers spoke about a new version of an old favorite. Oh, we're talking about Nadia? Oh, yeah, let's talk about Nadia. Nadia and the Secret of the Blue Water, the Jules Verne flavored adventure series, is a fan favorite that hasn't gotten much of an official exposure in North America other than a brief dub release in the early 90s. The Nadia series is now one of the biggest projects to come from the Texas production studio of ADV Films. Handling the fresh dub of Nadia are, left to right, Corey Gagne, who voices Hanson, Charlie Campbell, who voice directs the tracks and co-produces the dub, Lowell Botharme, who wrote the dub script and was the series' other producer, and of course, the fans at the Naughty panel wanted first to learn if the series would be shown on TV. The answer, maybe, but won't be on Cartoon Network. Watch for the dub to be finished in October, though. I hope the extra effort we put into the dub will help give dubs a better name, said Campbell. He said he felt justified for all his work when he saw how fans reacted to when part of the Nadia dub was shown at Project A-Kon. Some subtitle fans left right away, but those who remained liked the show they saw, Campbell said. One child insisted on staying, though, through the end of the tape. The dub they heard was based on Campbell's choices, matching the actors to look of the characters and not to sound like their Japanese voice actors. French accents were hard for some actors to get right. Also, for fans of the Disney version of the 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas, there's a subtle acting homage to Nadia to James Mason's role of Nemo in the Disney film. While the Austin crew takes some of the credit for the quality of the dub, they are also impressed with the quality of the story. I think it's a timeless story, Bartholomew said. It doesn't have a shelf life. Fans were curious if Atlantis, the animated Disney movie undersea adventure set for the summer 2001, would have an impact. While noting that there are some similarities between shows, Bartholomew said he doesn't think Atlantis will have much effect on Nadia, unless it makes people curious enough about the subject to buy the Nadia dub. An industry analysis looked at business and cosplay. Oh boy, it's our friend Nov Takahashi. All right, what are you mansplaining today? Nov Takahashi, the president of Studio Heart, invented the word cosplay and has been a big advocate of fans dressing up as their favorite anime characters. When he spoke to fans at Project A-Kon on Saturday, Takahashi noted that costuming has changed the way anime is designed, but he hoped that costuming fans would keep their activity in perspective. From the creator's point of view, they keep in mind that there will be cosplayers, so they design characters so it'll be easy to create costumes, Takahashi said. Character designers create the characters just like fashion designers. Takahashi worried, however, that some costumers are more interested in costumes than they are in the anime series that produced the designs. He's been more interested in cosplay as a way to generate enthusiasm for the series, and the problem is that cosplay has advanced And some of the cosplayers, mostly in Japan, it appears, have never seen a series which they've got the costumes, he said. For them, cosplay is a form to get attention, so they go to a cosplay party and get their pictures taken, and they feel famous, but they're not fans of the anime. Takahashi loves anime, but he also has to make a living through studio hard. He calls himself an otaku merchant. A fan who has to temper his affection for the art form would need to be an effective business owner. Takahashi followed the statement with a nostalgic note that the Waseda University that he attended created some of the best anime and manga artists in the business. The author was late in posting his notes. All right, so we're going to go through Kevin's final thoughts on Project A-Kon. Project A-Kon was a great place for people who wanted to hang out with friends, shop for anime stuff, and concentrate on having a good time. It was a bad place for those who expected things to start on time as usual. Fans took delays and disappearing events in Texas in stride. The only group that seemed disappointed was a group of fan fiction writers who showed up for a rescheduled Saturday panel and found that their event had been replaced by an art demonstration and had been rescheduled again. Everyone adapted quickly to the changes. The author showed up on time for one panel, found the room empty, stormed off to take more costume pictures, and returned 15 minutes later to find the room was full of fans and the discussion was just getting underway. In 1999 and 2000, A-Kon was at a Hyatt at the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport that was divided into two wings a quarter mile apart. In 2001, A-Kon was in two hotels a quarter mile apart. The dealer's room and most events were in the large Westin, where the costume contest was staged in a similar Sheraton. The increase in the crowd led to some big congestion in the Westin when shoppers waiting for the dealer's room to open were wedged in and with fans waiting for the registration line. The layout made for some adventuresome walks across a street to get from one hotel to the next. Fortunately, Texas drivers showed enough restraint to keep from plowing down the fans. Sadly, the layout of Sheraton ballrooms meant that only 250 seats were available for events like the costume contest, the smallest seating for the third largest anime convention in North America. A-Kon had the standard long elevator wait in the main hotel, only this time the crowd managed to overwhelm 5 cars, an unofficial record. In the Westin, the main hotel where the author stayed, a lower floor room was on the 5th floor, which meant for some presumably healthy walks through the stairwells. The 3rd floor was taken up with some panel rooms and the video programming for children. As for kids, A-Kon was yet another convention, with a lot of fans being pushed in strollers by parents. The author also noted that a lot of teenage costumers had their parents hovering a couple of feet away. If parents felt that safe, if parents feel that A-Kon is safe, the conventions must be doing something right. Some anime fans like to complain that A-Kon is a sci-fi con in disguise, full of lurking goths and Klingons. Well, the author spotted one Klingon all weekend, and anime fashions have changed to the point where it's hard to tell the goths from the rest of the general costuming population. In other words, A-Kon was overwhelming an anime convention. With any other fan presence that didn't hurt, the author figured it was an official convention he found when he found the mandatory Dance Dance Revolution game in the gaming room. And judging by the noisy approving audience, most popular events of the weekend were the improv acting seminars staged by Babylon 5 actors Richard Biggs and Jason Carter. The odd event of the weekend may have been the group of costumers walking through a grass lot between hotels who were soaked on Saturday night when an automated sprinkler system activated itself. But even a stranger was what happened in the dealer's room. On the day that A-Kon ended, a fan wrote this page saying that the dealer sold me a counterfeit CD disguised as an original Japanese import, priced at original import prices at $36. A couple of weeks ago after the convention, A-Kon staff confirmed that the dealer had disappeared from the dealer's room on convention Saturday, had been asked to leave by A-Kon. The convention staffer said there had been complaints of the dealer selling that were described as true counterfeits. And then there was the encounter with an A-Kon staffer. During the halftime break of the costume contest, the author was pounding away at his laptop, trying to get the picture pages ready, illuminating the keyboard with a flashlight held under his chin. Wow. When another light appeared, held by a staffer who had spotted the author's silly position. "I've been there," the patient staffer said as he held the flashlight until the author finished typing. The webpage stuff seemed to keep rolling on. Lots of people, in and out of costume, guests, sorry, a lot of people, lots of people in and outside costume guess what the author is going um, when he slides up to a customer and takes a picture or just walks through a hall. It went to conventions in May. The site set new monthly records for the number of visitors and files transferred. It's enough to keep the author traveling to more events, but he made a bunch of hotel reservations for future conventions the week before A-Kon. What makes these conventions exceptional? Compare them to what happens in the real world. On Animation's first day, the Washington Post ran a story on a U.S. representative of Chinese descent who had been invited to give a speech at the Energy Department headquarters during Asian Pacific Heritage Month. Despite the invitation, the Energy Department security guards wouldn't let the congressman inside the building at first, even though he showed them his congressional ID card. It took a protracted discussion with the building security supervisor to get the Asian American congressman inside the building where he had been invited. Compare that with a story from 2000 A-Kon, when a young Asian American woman was amazed by the way she was treated at the convention. It's like I was some sort of goddess, she said. The goddess part repeated in 2001. There was one Asian costumer who couldn't walk away more than few feet from people wanted her picture, and she was fully clothed. And yes, the author was on hand only the first 2 days of the 3-day convention again. He'll try to do better at the next event. Okay, and that's it for A-Kon 2001. Hope you guys enjoyed this recap of A-Kon 2001 on Fansview Fridays. Again, Kevin Lillard, may you rest in peace. You did so much for the anime conventions scene back in the day. We love you. We miss you. And if you like this era, you'll probably like my book, The Fangirl Diaries. You can get my book, The Fangirl Diaries, at most major book retailers. However, if you go through Underdog Bookshop, link is all in the description. You can also get an autographed copy of my book, The Fangirl Diaries, which is all about this era. And with that said, thank you so much for tuning in to Fansview Fridays. We won't be up for the next 2 weeks because of the holidays and Anime Los Angeles, but thank you so much for your support. Definitely donate to our Ko-Fi. Definitely donate to Nico's vet fund. You can find all those links in the description. And thank you so much for supporting Fansview Fridays for the past year or so. And with that said, happy holidays, and we hope to see you at the con.